Dr. Dawkins was born October 15, 1935, in Lexington, North Carolina, and in 1940 his family moved to Alexandria, Virginia. In 1952, he graduated from Parker Gray High School. His first major music influence was Mr. E. L. Patterson, his elementary and high school band instructor, who provided his initial formal music training. Dr. Dawkins was encouraged by Mr. Patterson to attend Virginia State College, where he earned his bachelor's in music education in 1956, and he returned to Alexandria to begin his teaching career in instrumental music. In 1959, he replaced Mr. Patterson as band director at Parker Gray High School, and as band director, he continued in the tradition established by Mr. Patterson. The band began to perform halftime shows at football games and presented Parker Gray's first musical, Bye Bye Birdie, in collaboration with the vocal music teacher, Mrs. Jacqueline Green. During the early 1960s, the future of Parker Gray High School was uncertain. However, as band director, he continued to prepare his students for survival in a new environment. Fortunately, many of his students were highly motivated and ready for the challenges. In 1965, Parker Gray became a middle school, where Dr. Dawkins continued as band director until 1969, and concurrent with his teaching, he continued his professional musical development, utilizing his associations with performing musicians in the Washington, D.C. area. As a teenager, Dr. Dawkins was exposed to the great masters of swing and modern jazz. Taking advantage of Alexandria's proximity to Washington, D.C., he was often at the Howard Theater to hear the music of Basie, Ellington, Parker, and Gillespie, among others. Later, he would frequent the club scene to hear Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and their contemporaries. From 1965 to 1967, Dr. Dawkins was a member of the Howard Theater House Band, during which time he and fellow band member Bobby Felder became acquainted. In 1969, he earned his master's degree from the Catholic University of America. From 1969 through 1971, during a period of considerable racial and social unrest, he served as assistant principal at T.C. Williams High School. In 1971, Dr. Dawkins left the Alexandria Public Schools to join Bobby Felder on the music faculty at Federal City College, the predecessor of the University of District of Columbia, remaining there until 1975. He received his Ph.D. in educational psychology from Catholic University of America in 1973. With the intention to continue pursuing a career in psychology and research, he worked as a consultant with the Department of Education and the National Endowment for the Arts. In 1975, he was appointed Director of Jazz Studies at Howard University, following the legendary Donald Byrd, who established the Jazz Studies program in 1970, one of the earliest such programs in the United States. Under the leadership of Dr. Dawkins, Jazz Studies earned academic accreditation and produced its first graduate in 1978, solidifying the program's status as a degree-granting course of study. In 1983, Howard University became the first HBCU to offer a master's degree in jazz studies under his stewardship. Over 3 decades, the program has produced several hundred music educators, scholars, and performers, such as Jerry Allen, Wallace Rooney, Davy Yarborough, and Carol DeShiel. He also coordinated the music business program, among the first such programs in the country. In 1987, under the auspices of the State Department, Dr. Dawkins toured 7 African countries, leading an ensemble of Howard students. While the education and mentorship of future educators, scholars, and performers was at the core of Dr. Dawkins' vision for jazz at Howard, he initiated other programs which further showcased jazz and exposed his students through personal interaction with an impressive array of world-class musicians. The Howard University Jazz Repertory Orchestra, directed by Dr. Rupert Stone, was the first ensemble of its type to investigate the programmatic potential of modern jazz, presenting the repertoires of Billy Eckstine, Thelonious Monk, and Oliver Nelson. He designed and implemented the Howard University Jazz Oral History Project, which focuses on the oral histories of some of the masters of modern jazz. That body of work is deposited at the Moorland-Spingarn Research Center and is being made available to researchers and scholars. As a performer, he continued to take his place in the Washington area professional music scene, and those experiences provided for a career as one of the area's most respected and versatile freelance musicians. Dr. Dawkins became known as a proficient woodwind doubler and saxophonist who was equally at home in the National Symphony Orchestra as he was in the Smithsonian Jazz Masterworks Orchestra. He was among the first African-American musicians to regularly perform in the pit orchestras of the major theatrical venues of post-segregationist Washington, and as such, Dr. Dawkins was an important example and a viable conduit for those seeking similar opportunity. For more than 25 years, he served as the musical contractor for the Arena Stage, considered among the nation's premier regional theaters, and as contractor, he employed hundreds of musicians in a variety of settings, including pit orchestras, sound recordings, television productions, and concerts. Dr. Dawkins would eventually become one of the leading music contractors in metropolitan Washington. A nationally recognized clinician, Dr. Dawkins presented workshops, seminars, and adjudicated at high schools, colleges, and jazz festivals throughout the country. Dr. Dawkins performed and taught regularly at numerous jazz camps in the Midwest, including the Clark Terry Rich Matheson Jazz Camps. He has been active in both the International Association for Jazz Education and the Music Educators National Conference. In 2003, he was elected Vice President of IAJE after serving as the IAJE Director of the Clifford Brown Fellows at IAJE conferences and the Monterey Jazz Festival. Dr. Dawkins has been the recipient of numerous grants and research awards, and he has published several articles and a book chapter. Among his awards are the Howard University College of Fine Arts Outstanding Faculty Award, the Benny Golson Jazz Master Award, and the Virginia State University Alumni Certificate of Merit. Dr. Dawkins is a charter member of the Alexandria Fairfax Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. As an educator and performer, Dr. Dawkins has had a long, fruitful, and quietly brilliant career. From modest beginnings, he worked his way to the top of his profession, and along the way, he successfully negotiated the transition from segregation to integration and pointed out the way for others to follow.